doing, everybody? Today I wanted to do a reaction video to the 6 proofs for the existence of God. And this video is from the World Video Bible School, and I hope you all enjoy.
6 proofs that show God exists. Number 1, the universe must have a cause. The most fundamental law of science is the law of cause and effect. And it says that for every material effect we see, there is a cause that came before it or was simultaneous to it, and that is greater than it. The universe is a material effect. So what caused the universe? You see, if you don't believe in a creator, then you have to suggest something like a singularity.
As an atheist, just because I don't believe in a creator, that does not mean I have to give a cause. It just means I lack a belief in a God. And not believing in a God doesn't automatically mean that I have an understanding in science and how everything was created. But let's keep going.
That's what is popular today, that there was some type of singularity that exploded in something called the Big Bang. But then when you try to get down to the bottom of what's a singularity, well, what we hear from the scientific community that suggests to us, the cosmologists, they say, well, a singularity was something that popped into existence from nothing. Do you know that if there ever were a time when there was nothing, that's exactly what we would have now?
I don't think he's correct on this, and that scientists don't actually say that we came from nothing. But let's continue.
The idea that something popped into existence from nothing is simply not a scientific idea. You see, they're suggesting that that singularity is somehow natural, but it behaves supernaturally. They say that that singularity wouldn't have followed the
I would like him to prove that it's supernatural. And just because, even if we don't know what became before the Big Bang, doesn't mean it was God. And it sounds like this argument is the God of the gaps. And if we don't know what the God of the gaps is that any lack in any scientific explanation, therefore it must be God, when we don't know that scientifically. But let's continue.
laws of nature. Well, then, so what are we left with? We're left with the fact that the universe had a beginning, and it was not a natural cause. It was something above nature. It was
How do you know it was above nature? Prove it. What scientific information are you looking at?
something super nature, something supernatural. And so when we see the material effect of the universe, we can know that there was a supernatural creator that caused the universe.
Sounds like a lot of assumptions.
Proof number 2, design demands a designer.
Wait a minute, is this the watchmaker argument?
It is a truism that everybody recognizes that this universe looks designed. In fact,
Just because it looks designed does not mean it is designed. And do we have a non-designed universe to compare a designed universe to? I don't know.
when we see the various different aspects of nature, and we see birds and squirrels and trees, and we see all of the things that they do so well, many times we as humans, we try to copy and mimic that design, but often we don't do nearly as well as the design that we see in nature.
So with all the things that we build, they have many builders. So with how complicated our universe is, does that mean there's many creators to our universe, therefore polytheism? But I don't get how this argument gets to, let alone a God, or even the Christian God. How do we know it's not polytheism?
We look at the design of the human body and the human hand and the arm and the leg and the brain, and we see that those are some of the most advanced, technologically savvy pieces of equipment ever put together. And we
Biological? I'm not sure about technological.
try to mimic them and copy them, and we can't do it as well. Why? Because this universe
Because we don't have our technology advanced enough. We may get there someday, but not yet.
exhibits design from the starry sky at night to the fingertips on your hand. The design is overwhelming. It's everywhere. Where does design originate?
Laws of physics.
Well, what you and I both
Science.
know is that when you see things that function and they're complex, that design comes from an intelligent designer.
Maybe. Seems kind of a leap. I'm not sure how you get there. Like, just because it looks designed doesn't mean it is. You have to prove it.
Big explosions just simply don't bring about order.
Prove it.
They don't cause things that are functional and complex to come into existence. The design we see in the universe demands a supernatural, intelligent designer.
I think you're the one demanding it here. Therefore, you have to prove it.
Proof number 3. Life demands a supernatural life giver.
And again, how do you prove that?
You see, in the material world, we have come to understand that there is a law of biology called the law of biogenesis. Law of biogenesis simply says this, that in this material, natural world, life comes from previously existing life of its own kind.
So kind of like evolution?
Now, when we look at how people used to think about life, they said, no, life can arise spontaneously from non-living chemicals. And
I'm sure biologists can explain it better, but do we have non-living chemicals within us? Because literally everything is chemicals.
yet every single biological experiment has shown us that that simply is biologically impossible. Life doesn't arise from non-living chemicals.
Is it impossible? I don't know, but I'm sure I'll try to look something up and that'll provide more context to this. Like, I'm not a scientist. As an atheist, I'm not obligated to believe any science, but it's a good idea to, but I'm not obligated to.
From where did life arise?
Evolution.
Where did life originate if it doesn't arise from non-living chemicals? You see, the idea that there's no God suggests to us that there had to be some singularity without a cause that exploded, and that explosion brought about design, which we've never, ever seen happen. And then ultimately, somewhere the non-living chemicals gave rise to life. But that's biologically impossible.
Is it though? Like, if we came from the Big Bang, I guess it's possible, but our current understanding of science is, is used to explain what's around us. And just because we don't have an explanation now, doesn't mean we won't have an explanation in the future.
Life demands a supernatural creator. Proof number 4. Moral law demands a moral law giver. If some things are objectively morally right,
even if there is some objective morality, can we know it objectively as humans living in different contexts? I think our understanding of morality is subjective, whether or not morality is objective.
and other things are objectively morally wrong, then there must be a God.
Not necessarily. There's many ways that we can get morality.
You see, if we evolved from primordial slime over multiplied millions of years, at what point did objective moral values arise?
Maybe it didn't. Maybe our morality arose from what generally gets our society to just be able to survive. Because what good would a society be if we just killed each other? And we get our morals from what is mutually beneficial for most people most of the time.
We don't look at a dog and say that that dog objectively, morally violated some rule when he steals a bone from another dog. We don't say, hey, he violated a objective moral value. We just
Can dogs know morality? I don't know. Seems like they show compassion sometimes. So maybe, I don't know.
don't say that. But we do say that humans can perpetrate things that are objectively morally wrong, that humans can be involved in things that are morally right. If that's true, there must be a God.
It seems kind of a leap, but that's just me.
Proof number 5, free will exists. The atheistic idea that there is no God is founded on the idea of materialism.
It's founded on there not being a God, but okay.
The idea that this material world is all that there is, all that there was, and all that there ever will be. Because of that, atheism has to suggest that you as a person don't really have free will.
Atheism doesn't have to do anything. Just lack a belief in a God.
That there is no being inside of your body or brain that is super matter. That really what's going on in your brain is just electrons bouncing around, and you're the product of those bounces, and you don't really make decisions on your own. It's just the physical laws and properties going on in your brain. If you are watching this video of your own volition, then the fact of the matter is there has to be a God that can account for that free will that you as a person have. There has to be a God if there is free will.
Not necessarily. Like, we are impacted by the world around us, our biology, our genes, like psychology, sociology. Like, our situation is impacted by so many things. And if anything, the things that impact us might even, like, how do I want to say this? Give credit to Calvinism and the whole predestination. Like, do we have free will, or was it predestined? If anything, all of our biology, sociology, psychology might just give credence to Calvinism. I don't know.
And proof number 6, human reasoning. You see, we reason on a regular basis. We understand abstract ideas. If we were products of blind, chance, random processes over multiplied millions of years,
And I don't really see that as a problem.
reasoning and the laws of reasoning simply would have no explanation. And yet,
There is an explanation, and science can help us understand that. But hey, go find a scientist, ask them questions.
we reason together on a regular basis. From where does reason arise?
Our brains, evolutionary psychology.
It's got no naturalistic, atheistic explanation. Antony Flew, the atheist who wrote Theology and Falsification, the most popular atheistic paper for the last 100 years, the last century. In 2006, he co-wrote a book titled There Is a God, How the World's Most Notorious Atheist Became a Believer. He stated that
Sounds like the logical fallacy of appeal to authority. So, like, because this one atheist became a Christian, therefore it's true. Not necessarily.
his rule of life had always been to follow the evidence where it leads. And he said he followed that evidence. and it led him to the conclusion that there is a supernatural, intelligent God.
I'm wondering like what his evidence was, and just because it convinced him doesn't mean it's convincing for everybody else.
Let's let the evidence lead us to that same conclusion.
Okay, so that's the end of the video. And his evidence for a God doesn't really seem all that convincing to me, but hey, it might be convincing to somebody else out there. But and I hope you all have a great day, and if you have any other evidence for God, go ahead and leave it in the comments, subscribe, like the video, and have an awesome day.